All right, so this is going to be a lecture on asset pipeline. Okay. So asset pipeline is something that Rails uses, so I'm going to explain to you guys how it works. There's no actual assignments for this that you guys have to build anything with. It's just something for you guys to understand. Okay. So asset pipeline, basically what it does is it takes your files. So let's say, for instance, you have like a home.css file, and let's say you also have a user.css file. Okay, it's going to take both of these files, and it's going to convert it into part of the application.css. Okay, so it's combining them together. Okay, so this happens in production, okay, and there's actually 3 different parts to this. Okay, so the first thing it's going to do, okay, is it does what's called precompile. Okay, and what precompile does is it takes like your .scss. So if you've ever seen .scss, it means sassy CSS. Okay, it's a specific type of CSS that has like some additional functionality to it. It's going to convert your SCSS files into CSS. Okay? Rails is generating .scss by default. Okay? Similarly, if you have .js.coffee, this is a CoffeeScript file. Okay? It will convert it to normal JS. Okay? So it's just doing this precompile step to convert the files into normal CSS and normal JavaScript because that's what your browser needs. So in addition to precompiling, it's also going to do this. This is called, what is it called, combining? Right, that's what it's called. And what that's doing is it's taking multiple files, okay, and it's combining them into one. Okay, so we have that way. There's like the browser only has to send one. The server only has to send one file to the browser, as opposed to sending multiple files. And then the third thing it does is it's going to get rid of white space. It does something called uglify, okay? And what that means is that right now, your CSS and JavaScript files, they look nice and spaced out with like spaces, so you can with indents and stuff, so you can read things well. But the computer doesn't need it to read it that well, so it's going to get rid of the white space, which also takes up space in the file and makes the file smaller. Okay, so it does all these things and converts this into an application.css file. Okay, and the application.css file actually looks. It's actually more like application dash like B5, 3, 4, A, B, 6, whatever, dot CSS. Okay, so there's an MD5 hash here. It's an MD5 hash. Okay, and what this does, yeah?
So what was number 3 say?
Uglify. Uglify. It's actually uglify. Uglify. That's what I call it. Minify does the same thing. Yeah, same thing. It makes this MD5 hash, and that's a way for Rails to keep track of the versions for this, right? So if a browser downloads this file, it has this CSS file, then if you haven't made any changes to the CSS file, the browser doesn't have to make a new request for the CSS file. But once you've made changes to it, you'll get a new MD5 hash, meaning that your CSS file has been updated. And then when the browser looks for the CSS file, it knows that it's missing the wrong one, and it makes that new request to the server. Okay, and then it'll get the updated version. So this MD5 hash is just for keeping track of the version. Okay. I think this is called concatenation. Okay. There's also something called a manifest file. Okay, so inside your Rails app, you will also see a file called application.css. Okay, and this is a manifest file. Okay. And what this really does is it tells Rails what to include. Okay. So this file is telling Rails which of these other CSS files and SCSS files, whatever you have, right, that are in your folder to include when it creates the new application.css. That looks like this one, right? So this one is the one with MD5 hash. This is the one that gets sent over. The server actually creates and gets sent to like the browser. This one is actually just when you see it in your file structure directory. This one is just a manifest file that includes a listing of what to include when it makes this file. Okay? And there is similarly an application.js, which is the manifest file for the JavaScript. In here, you'll see a command that says like required true. Okay? All this really means is that, and I think also like require self. All this means is that you're going to, by default, include all the CSS files that are in the same folder as this application.css file, and also any CSS files that are in a subfolder that is in the same folder. Okay, so if you have, I think it's like /style sheets, you're going to have an application.css, which is a manifest file, and then you might have like say home.scss, right? And then let's say you have like another file structure like common or something with like some other files in it, right? When you put required true in here, it means that it's going to include all of these files when it makes this file. Okay. Any questions on this so far? The word required tree does that for us. It is included by default, so you don't actually have to put it in. It's just if you were reading it, then you understand what it does. If you were to change it for some reason, like you did like require in like I don't know, some folder instead of just like common or something, and you like deleted this, then it would only include like the common folder. All right, so I'm going to build an example with this.